I was texting with my guest today, and I said, side note, I want to interview you for a thing in New York or LA in the next month or so. And my guest wrote back, yes, please, for the love of God, someone interview me. And I said, you're a comedian on the rise. And I said, my Netflix special is called Blocks. So the premise of the interview would be, what are your blocks? Meaning, what makes you feel crazy and alienated from the world? It'll be deep. You'll be very uncomfortable. And people will be grateful that you shared your vulnerability. And you wrote back, yes, hurry.
Mm-hmm.
My guest today, ladies and gentlemen, is...
I'm Dave.
Dave Letterman.
I'm Dave, and while you were reading that prolonged prologue, I sunk a three-pointer here with the paper towel.
No small thing.
I'm very excited about that and feeling now much better about everything. Nice to see you.
It's great to see you, too.
And having seen the live production of the show that you can now see on Netflix, I'm very happy for you and your success. How many of those have you done?
This is my second.
Good for you.
Here's something you may not know. You know who got special thanks?
Oh, that's cute. What? I did nothing.
You just came, dude. It was nice that you came.
Well,
no one expects you. Here's the great thing about you. No one expects anything.
That was the good part of that night was being seated comfortably in the theater, the Cherry
Lane,
yeah, Cherry Lane. I'd never been there before. Very nice.
Yeah.
And watching the show. Everything before that, everything after that was fraught.
The pre-show. Well, it's a lot of interacting.
Yeah, it once again it reminded me of why I just shouldn't leave the house, because it went sideways in a hurry, and then when I thought the first incursion had healed, after the show it just got worse.
I know of one. All right. Well, this is what I want to talk about.
This is how bad it got. The following day, I think I had to call you and apologize, and I had to
Derek,
call Derek,
the director,
and apologize,
which you didn't have to apologize, and it was very funny.
Yeah, because I thought I had. Good Lord.
Well, we can talk about this. What's interesting about you is your TV show, the late night show, and the both late night shows. You were, incredibly confident and like a great broadcaster. But then I also would see you lay down in the middle of your monologue if a joke didn't work. Like you were kind of openly.
Yeah. No, that's right. I'd be wounded.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is an interesting combination. Like you were kind of openly wounded or openly cranky.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't overcome that. Yeah, I took it personally.
But it's part of what made you appealing.
I don't know about that. The thing that impresses me about you and your era, your generation of comedian, is this hour-long show. I think that's how long the Cherry Lane.
70, yeah. The Netflix is an hour, yeah.
Yeah. That's a remarkable piece of work. I'm twice your age. I couldn't put together an hour if I started from moments after my birth.
You didn't have to, though.
No, but I'm in awe of people who can do it, and that's I'm very impressed by the change that stand-up comedy has achieved for itself. Because when I started, for a lot of people, it was a hobby. Get 5 minutes going, Merv Griffin. Thank you and good night. You're set.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. It's a real commitment, and I didn't have that. Don't have that. But I'm very impressed by people who can do it.
Obviously, you could if you wanted to. What's the most time you've done in the last 5 years?
On stage, not, I don't know, 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
I would argue that you could do more. What do you think of Steve Martin and Marty
Short? You may have the wrong
Short?
Dave here.
Oh, I thought you were spelled. My fault. Did you? What do you think of when you see Marty Short and Steve Martin? Steve obviously was a comic. Martin wasn't. So you've done shows with them, right?
I did one show with them in Texas, just as an interloper, just as a guest. Oh, hi, how are you? And their show, I loved it. I loved them. I loved their show. I loved everything about it. And again, just in a bit of envy, like, whoa, these guys are committed. Their version of show business completely different than my version of show business.
I think that's a choice, though. I would argue
Perhaps.
that's a choice.
I think it's hard for me to write because I'll write it once and then I'll write it another dozen times. And I find that the anxiety that accompanies that or drives that is crippling. So I can't imagine like the writing that you do, and most of your writing, I guess, is in the afternoon and then on stage in the evening, which is what comics do. And geez, if I were to do it over again, I would approach stand-up completely differently.
This is what I want to speak to you about. You do strike me as a guy who, based on your interaction at my show, you think things through. You overthink things.
Yeah.
I should have put that in the review. Yeah. A miserable night, Dave Letterman. But you tend to, because I'm in the same boat where I overthink. I screwed that up. I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why can't you just be normal like normal people?
That's right.
And what I've found is I'm overstating it. Nothing's ever as bad as we think it is. And people, and even more so, people don't even really notice. Everything's just flying past people.
Yes, that's right. But there are flags that make it all the worse. And it's when the curtain comes down, I'm speaking symbolically, and you know it's not gone well, and you walk off stage and no one will, it's always this. Oh yeah, nice job. And then the hole just gets deeper and darker when you know you've bombed and everybody around you knows you've bombed. The energy, undeniably, the energy is different, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Now, is that self-generated? No. It's in that energy is in the room. That didn't go well. Everybody feels it. Everybody knows it. Here's the reason for the shift in the energy.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I agree that, but it's like are you paranoid or are they apt? It's like,
that's right. That's right. But now let me ask you this. I think we're talking about a universality here, aren't we?
Yes.
Not just comics, people on the planet.
Yeah, you kind of have to be a sociopath to think things are going well.
Yeah. That's right.
Socially.
So there is a bright side to being a sociopath.
Yeah, good news.
Yeah.
So when you talk about your life, a lot of it seems like you wish you had done things differently.
Yes. Now, when I started doing stand-up comedy,
but it's not just comedy. It seems like everything.
Yeah, there are big things. There's some big things. Certain things are marginal, but big things. Yes, I wish I had approached a few things differently. But in terms of stand-up comedy, I didn't know what I was getting into necessarily because my model was the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and you would see 2 or 3 comedians on there each week, and they would come out and they would do 5.5 minutes, and then they would sit down with Johnny. So that was the goal. Get yourself 5.5 minutes, sit down with Johnny. What I wish I had done was made my time on stage more anecdotal, more biographical, because who isn't endlessly fascinated by themselves?
Mm-hmm.
So that well of material is infinite.
Yeah. Okay. Do you find that you overly regret the life stuff? I know you feel like you had kids too late, right?
Yes, had yes, absolutely, without question. Yes, a crucial, yes.
And that's a thing that makes you feel
bad mistake.
But now your relationship with your son Harry seems to be your most cherished thing, right?
You know, it's like every parent. There was a time when I should have addressed parenthood and delayed it and delayed it and delayed it because I thought, holy crap, are you kidding me? It's a TV show. There's nothing more important than a TV show. Leave me alone. And then we had.
Do you ever think, though, like you waited too long, you still had a great kid, you still have an amazing relationship with the kid.
Mm-hmm.
There is something to making a great thing. Right?
Yes.
And I'm not talking about Emmys. I'm talking about literally the day-to-day.
Yes, you're correct about that. That's a lovely part of life, being able to do that. I'm just not convinced that that's what I did. But let's,
You know that's dysmorphia.
okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you did a great thing.
When I have this conversation with my wife, which is hour to hour,
Of course.
she always says, "Look, no, look at you. How many people did you employ? You had maybe 100 people work for you. That's a great thing. That's something to be proud of." And I just think, wow, you are on the wrong side of the freeway here.
You ran it's like owning a carpet factory or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, think about all the people.
She always,
The local economy. You're not looking at a local
that's
economic.
right. Yeah, support your local merchants.
And there's now, having said that, there's probably nothing anyone can say.
Of course not.
Right.
Of course not. No. Now, let's just pretend that this goes really well. This will carry me through the next 24 hours.
I think it's going well. Well, that's
We're
what I
not
was going to
finished.
explain to you.
We're not finished.
No.
But now let me ask you this. Are you this way? You're this way and then some?
Well, first of all, it's very hard to get a sense of what your life and or impact is, right? I think the best thing to do is look in the eyes of people that you trust, whose opinion you trust, and go, they seem impressed. So I'm going to think that I must have done pretty well.
Right, except that it's show business and people get paid to seem they're impressed.
Yeah.
You know, and I know when things go okay. I know when things don't go okay. You know, and you're the ultimate and only important judge, really.
Yeah.
How do you feel? It's not how somebody else feels. How do I feel?
Yeah.
And if I feel like a worm, leave me alone. I feel like a worm, and I'll get over it.
Yeah. How long does it take to get over it?
8 hours, 12 hours.
How long did it used to take?
The beautiful thing, and maybe the reason that I stayed so long, was you screw it up Monday, you come back Tuesday and apologize for Monday, and the sun comes up in a metaphoric sense. And then you get Wednesday, and maybe the sun goes a little higher in the sky. And then Thursday, maybe it drops out of the sky. And then Friday, it comes back up. So it was self-therapeutic.
Did you live by the Johnny Carson maxim that things are never as bad as the good shows are never as good and the bad shows are never as bad?
The good shows are never as good, and the bad shows are as bad or worse
than you could even imagine.
Yeah. When the show would suck, I would wait till it was very, very dark before I would leave the building.
You told me that story one time, and I'm fascinated by it. You would have a bad show.
I didn't want to be seen
in
daylight.
And the sun doesn't set till 8:30, 8:45.
No, I'd be there at 10:30, 11. This is depressing me now.
So that's a block. How did you deal with that? Were there points in your life where you were like, I'm like the conclusion of my show, which is like, I'm not very kind to myself, and trying to find some semblance of self-acceptance? Were there moments in your life, was having Harry helpful in terms of like contextualizing yourself or getting some perspective?
Well, what I learned eventually was I pursued a variety of things that would make me feel better about myself. And the thing that ultimately made me feel better about myself consistently was if I felt the show went okay, then I would feel better about myself. These 400 people reinforced and eradicated, erased, or disguised my self-doubt for an hour. So then I would feel okay about myself. And then I was able to help with that pharmaceutically, but the Harry is represented actual love, actual love to me. I love people in my life, but Harry was like ball lightning.
I've heard that's the good stuff. Kids.
For me, it was, yes, but I was so afraid that Harry wouldn't like me that all I tried to do was entertain him. So I look back on it now and I think, well, that was a miserable thing to do to the kid every night at
bits?
dinner. I'm doing bits. That's right.
Sock puppets and food.
And I would try to engage him in improv at the dinner table, and he just would have none of it. So even that, but yeah.
But do you ever see things without revealing anything about him? Do you ever see tendencies in him that you're like, we got to nip this?
No.
So he doesn't have this sort of.
No. He doesn't seem to suffer what I suffer.
Great.
He seems to have self-possession and confidence about who and what he is. That apparently this is crap.
No, that's the thing is you don't know the new show business. We all talk about our feelings openly, and people are grateful because Dave, no one talks about this stuff.
There's a guy named Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, I know Bert. He's going to be so excited that you know who he is.
He came to my attention a couple of years ago because he's not wearing a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, I must have come in halfway through the show and he auctioned his shirt off or something. But now, subsequently, he's always without a shirt. And I've asked people who should know, what's that all about?
He's like he's literally the life of the party. He's like, remember like Spuds McKenzie? He's
Yes.
like Spuds McKenzie.
But honestly,
but he can write
Neal,
jokes. He's
would
funny.
you go to a party if you knew guys were going to have their shirts off?
I mean, I wouldn't, but that's not, but I had to do a show about what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
So it's not, that party element, people love partying.
But he will put his shirt on one day.
Well, he's got the showbiz thing where he's like, do they only like me because I don't wear my shirt? He's got his own dumb self-doubt.
No, is that true?
Swear to God. Yeah, it's show business.
So he is completely invested in his own hook. And without that,
now he's like, am I actually funny? He's got a movie coming out and he wears a shirt through most of it. And I'm sure he's like, are they going to hate me for wearing a shirt?
This is revelatory. Thank you. That story is delightful. That story is delightful because in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm the best looking guy in here without a shirt, but that's not it at all.
He's got a big fat stomach.
Yeah.
He's in horrible shape, but he's got a big fat, if he's in good shape, he can't take a shirt off.
Right.
Then it's not funny.
So he would think that if he put a shirt on, people would stop going to see him?
Yes. Of course.
People are just the best.
Yeah,
aren't
we're
they?
we will defeat ourselves.
Yeah, that's
Does
right.
not matter.
No, I think you're right. I think humanity is its own worst enemy and comes up with new and crazy ways to prove that each and every day.
I'm tempted to call Bert. I'm going to call Bert because he will absolutely love this. That you know who he is and are questioning.
And what are the chances that you're actually going to get him on the phone?
I think pretty good.
Where does he live?
He has 2 houses. In fact, this is how well the shirt thing's going. They just bought a 3rd.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's Bert.
Well, see, this represents what I know about comedy in this generation. The industry of it, the commerce of it is so far more than it was when I started.
There was a list of what comics made last year. Want to guess what he made on the road?
Well, I have no idea.
$25 million.
I'm sorry, how many?
$25 million.
Bert did.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Good for him.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's get him on the phone. Let's see what this is like a radio contest.
Oh.
Do you want to leave a message for him?
Yeah.
Press 1 for more options.
Hi, Bert. It's Neal Brennan and Dave Letterman, and we're talking about you and the fact you don't wear a shirt. And I was delighted and pleased to know 2 things. One, that you think without the shirt or without the shirt, people wouldn't like you. And also, last year on the road, you made $25 million. So all my best and congratulations.
Great.
Got that knocked out.
Yep. Took care of that. Do you ever think to
This
yourself?
is way more fun than I thought
Of
it was
course.
going to be.
No, I knew you thought it was going to be drudgery. Do you have any other showbiz questions? Any other comedians that I can
Things
offer
may
some
come to me, but this is the one that I was curious about.
Yeah. So do you ever look at your level of like your neuroses as being kind of the engine for this great life you built for yourself? Because I know that you've got to think objectively, because as I do, this is going real. Like I think to myself sometimes, like, how much better could this be going? And then you're into like, it's like Formula One stuff where it's like microseconds.
Mm-hmm,
like how much more, what higher peak is there for you?
Well, to me, I'm still at base camp, honestly.
Yeah, I believe you.
No, that's it. And I, looking back on the life now,
You own a race car team
yeah.
from talking.
Well, yeah, I don't have real problems. And,
You're right.
And the world is a real problem. So I feel stupid talking about it. Who else can we call?
I mean, look, it's kind of endless at this point.
You know everybody.
I do know a lot of people.
Well, let's talk about your old partner, your old writing pal,
Sure.
Dave. Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
What did you think?
Here's what I've explained to people. You ever hear that it's an old bumper sticker? I root for UCLA and anyone who's playing USC. Dave is for black people and whoever white people are against. That's my interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he sees with Kanye and Kyrie getting in trouble, like, oh, Dave did a joke about OJ where he's like, oh, he's in trouble. Like he will defend whoever needs defending. So, all right, let's get back to you. We have a premise to work here, which is these blocks.
Okay.
So the blocks of your life, self-esteem.
I will say that having seen your stage version of the Netflix show, in addition to being interesting props, very effective symbols.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good looking.
Yeah.
And they were expensive.
You have them in your house?
I do. They were very expensive.
Good.
Now I will just got the idea. Maybe I'll slide one your way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, it would mean the world to you. How did you find dealing with a staff? Did you find that hard? I find that very hard.
I found it impossible, and I got to the point where I said, "This is not why I left Indiana. I didn't leave Indiana to go into personnel.
Yeah,
I just left Indiana because I thought I was funny, and it made me feel good if people would reinforce that doubt in a positive way. That no, he is funny." But I was miserable at it. I didn't want to know what was going on. And people would come to me with problems, and people would be crying, and I would make people cry, and it just let the air out of the whole thing. And and I'm saying this is a shortcoming of mine. It's I don't know.
It's hard. It's a different job.
Some people I know are very good at it, and from time to time on the staff, we always had a group of people that would. Excuse the expression, the adults in the room, and they would be very good at it. I tell you, here's what I'm tired of. I saw it the other day. Did you see what I did there? When will that go away?
Somebody doing that as a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then before that, it was ish. Well, yeah, socks ish. That when will that go away? How does that start? And why do people think, oh, I'll put that in something because I heard somebody else do it, and it's got to be funny because I heard somebody else do it?
How about I just threw up in my mouth? That was a big one. That was a big punchline for.
I didn't know that was a thing.
That was a big throwing up in your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it. I didn't know it was one of those things I'm trying to describe.
Yeah. No, you're talking about hacky comedy.
Yeah. People watch bad comedy and think, "Oh, I can do that," and then they go on to reproduce bad comedy.
And also, I have a bigger theory, which is people don't want you to get a laugh, so they go, "I see what you did there," and you're like, "You just made this less funny." Like I was being funny, and then you made it less funny because you wanted to get in on it. You wanted like an assist, and you actually made it less.
But it never goes away. There's always a new wave of them. And I don't know how that starts.
It's just culture. I think you created a bunch of them. It's like SNL, Chappelle Show did it, your show did it, like certain shows, like Adam McKay does it with Will Ferrell, all like Ron Burgundy, and I'm kind of a big deal.
That stuff, and I think you're right about it, but it's at a much higher, far more palatable level than, see what I did there? That's just...
It's low, it's shitty, it's crappy comedy.
What can be done about it?
I mean, we can pass laws about it.
Well, I retired, so that takes some of the iron out of the fire. No, not really.
Did you?
No. I would just say right now, when I was a kid, and perhaps when you were a kid, boy, I can hardly wait to be retired and spend all my time. Well, that's a myth.
Well, yeah, meaning it's incredibly boring.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
yeah.
and not satisfying as a human pursuit.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
I'll
need
just
you need some kind of carrot to
Yeah.
chase. Well, that's what I was going to say. So you do find that worthwhile, making the Netflix show, the excellent Netflix show. How do you approach those segments different? Do you see it as like a profile piece?
I well, it's different. I spent about 6 weeks getting my hands on every bit of performance or research I can about the person. Whereas when you're doing a nightly show, you get the stuff at lunch and you look over it, and at 5 o'clock you're doing the show. So you get to know the person, and to me that's the best part of it, because these are people I don't know, largely people I wouldn't get to know. And I find that part of it very satisfying.
Well, that's what is. You do seem genuinely interested in people. Like you are a weirdly like a humanistic guy. You like people. Am I crazy about that?
No, well, I again, I'm talking about myself, but I do, in any situation, I would like to talk to a person. I don't want them talking to me. I would like to talk to
Oh,
them.
that interesting.
So maybe it's control. Maybe I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, control. People think that's bad being a control freak, but like that's how you got to do stuff. But you don't. You actually don't. I feel like and I knew this would make the whole show would make you uncomfortable. That's why I knew you had to be the first guest.
Am I the first guest?
Yeah. Because Jimmy Carr pitched me the idea, and I was like, "It's a good idea."
Jimmy Carr,
the great Jimmy
Carr.
Carr.
Tell me what you know about Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy Carr we became friends maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Where geographically? Where?
The Comedy Store.
Why was he?
He just
in
happened
Hollywood?
to be. He comes to America every once in a while. All of his business is in Europe and England specifically. He comes to America just to kind of like, hello, I'm Jimmy, and I'm doing great, I met. He had watched 3 mics that day, and he was like, I can't. But it's so great to meet you, and like we became very good friends. The thing about me is, because of the types of show I make, or the types of shows I've done, people will kind of confess stuff to me. So me and Jimmy have a kind of helpful, the kind of cute psychological relationship where we talk about our problems. He's had like very bad panic that he's dealt with until about 6 months ago. He would wake up every morning on the dot at 6 a.m. like this. Every day. Panic. 6 a.m. like an alarm. And he's just did something to get him out of that. He's just a really funny, great joke writer, and he likes the action. He likes having a lot of busy work, and that's the thing, when people say, when you look back in your life, you're not going to think about work. There's times when I'm like, I've had some pretty special experiences at my work, because it's not a regular job. It's not construction, I have like real emotional connection with people that I don't think you get at most jobs.
Perhaps. I think sometimes the notion that it's show business by which you get these special events in your life sort of undercut it. It's sort of like, yeah, okay.
Yes.
You're with the circus. Fine, that's good. But Jimmy Carr, I actually met him. Judd Apatow introduced me to Jimmy Carr, and I knew quite a lot about Jimmy Carr just from watching. He does quite a lot of work, and then I watched his most recent Netflix special. And he comes out and he does this thing that I guess Ricky Gervais also does. These are just jokes. These are not the actual events. Nobody is getting hurt here. I'm just talking about something, and it's only a joke, and they're designed to make you laugh. And I thought to myself, well, that doesn't work. But apparently it does work.
Yeah.
People leave him alone, right?
They did. They finally got him on that special. He made a joke about Roma, or gypsies, as we know them. Made a joke about gypsies, and the Confederation of a group condemned him for it.
And what was his penance for that? He had to apologize. He had to.
No, I actually don't think he ended up doing anything. But that's what, in this sort of cancel culture, largely, unless it's close to illegal, you can say anything, and it's kind of a fake cancel. There's a bit of a wrestling to it.
Yes.
They fake outrage and you fake contrition.
I understand that. But what I thought was, I was so surprised that the Roma situation notwithstanding, I felt so surprised that his firewall was this announcement at the top of the show. These are just jokes. Don't worry about it. I thought that nobody is going to let him off the hook with that.
They'll just grandfather people in. You just get like, well, we can't get mad at him. Anthony Jeselnik talks about horrible stuff. It's Jeselnik. It's like when the DiCaprio, you don't have to get married. This is what you've been doing. So if you just keep doing it, they will accept it. We have to get back to the premise.
Well, no, wait a minute, because this I've seen Jimmy Carr on some panel show that he does, and he comes. I didn't realize that he came to the United States, and at some point, I become aware of the fact that Jimmy, for one reason or another, quit paying income tax.
1 year, he did the thing that like most famous British rich people do, like the Rolling Stones got in trouble for it in the 70s. Where you maybe say you live somewhere else, like some island
I
or
thought
something.
my inference was that this was more heinous. That
they made it seem more
I
heinous.
see.
My understanding was they were making an example of him.
I see. Okay,
But it was no more heinous than anybody else.
So I was thinking, if that happened to a comedian, a well-known comedian in this country, that person, he or she, may be done. But over there, not only is he still working and thriving, it's now part of his professional CV. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
People are, well, Jimmy, have your accountant call me. It's like that now.
Yes. No, yeah, exactly. Well, here you could almost make a case that the right wing would be like, yeah, don't pay taxes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they'd be you're forgetting about the new America.
Yeah, way to go, pal.
Yeah, I wish I had the strength to not pay taxes like you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you.
Okay.
Your blocks.
Okay.
You had an alcohol problem at one point, which you overcame just by quitting.
Yes. I had to quit. I started drinking. It's the same old story. And it was for a while, and it was okay. Dad's having a scotch and soda at Christmas. What's that taste like, Dad? Well, here you go. Here you go. So I had it and loved it. Whereas you think an 11, 12-year-old would find it repellent. I thought, wow. Yeah.
Pretty delicious.
Yeah, they make this for kids. And that was the beginning of it. And then I just quit. But, I just loved being drunk.
You like the feeling? I don't like
loved
the
everything
feeling
about
of
it.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask you about. So you always struck me as a guy who, like, when did you feel most attuned to the culture? You feel like you're like, there's something old fashioned about you, especially when you make that face. There's something old fashioned about you. Like you're from the 50s in a weird way. Like,
well, I am from the 50s.
do you feel anachronistic now? Do you look at the world? At what year did you start going like, what the hell is happening? Because in the 80s, you still seem like you were just a cool dude. You were about as cool a dude as there was.
You
were
Steve
Dave
McQueen.
You were for TV. You were the only cool person on TV, and I know this kills you to hear.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't kill me, but I don't. Anyway, that's an interesting question. When did I realize that I had left the building?
Yeah, like where you just because I'm starting to get there where I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't relate, and I don't have the same values.
Well, it's like a slow boiling infection. There's a phase where I don't know what happened to why. Who are
Where's
these
Frankie
people?
Valli?
That's right. I said, can we get Frankie Valli on the show? Is Tony Dow still working?
But you would have like the Clash. You had really cool music.
This is because I had smart people, Sheila Rogers and her production staff, booking the show. They that was their business, was music. So, and Paul, oh my God, Paul was and still is. Although I think he's a little like I am now about Frankie Valli. Well, Paul would love Frankie Valli.
Well, yeah, he can see like the inherent value of Frankie Valli. But I always thought that the way you would do field pieces, your remote pieces, felt like there was like a 50s industrial film quality to them?
Well, I think that was because in those days when we started, which would have been in the late 70s, 79, 80, around in there, nobody was doing comedy like that where you just go outside and do comedy. I don't think. Now, maybe others were doing it, but you had, like half-hour syndicated shows like Los Angeles PM or whatever they were called when they'd go out and do features. We would go out and try to do something funny. So, yeah, I think that's an accurate assessment. It was, now it would look anachronistic.
Is there a part of you that felt like that you wanted to be like rebellious on TV?
I always thought, wait till I get on TV, I will be whatever everybody has been waiting for. And I really believed that. And I had people with me who felt the same way. The head writer in those days, Meryl, felt the same way. And the people that she recruited felt the same way. And then, so we got on TV and we realized we're exactly opposite of what people want on TV.
For the morning show.
For the morning show. And then later I was torn on the late night show because I thought, is it too weird? Should it be less weird? Should it be right down the middle of the road? But I think luckily it was more weird than it was less weird.
That's what I wonder about is like, I know when doing the show I did, there was like a level of anger to it.
Wait a minute, you did a show?
Yeah, a TV show. I don't like to talk about it.
No, what TV show did you do?
Chappelle show.
I'm
saying
it
wasn't my
you
show.
did the Neal Brennan show.
No. God,
and here's
can you
Neal.
imagine? Can you imagine?
No,
I think
that's why I was having trouble.
This might be
this.
it, and we spared no respect.
Is this a podcast? Or
this is a podcast, but people. Here's what happens now: people will put it on YouTube, and it will get hundreds of thousands of views, if not millions.
Really?
Yeah,
this
for real.
Little number here.
Bert, stupid Bert.
I didn't. Now you're putting words
in
my mouth.
But it was coming from your neck.
No.
I mean?
But now next time you see Bert, he's like, I don't appreciate you calling me stupid. Is he gonna?
No, we'll be like, I can't believe you called me stupid. You won't be able to understand what he's saying. Then Letterman said, I know you called me.
So who of your group, and you're in pretty good company. Your comedic peer group and your CV is very impressive.
Thank you. Now I can dismiss it.
Plated.
Right, but I can dismiss it like you can. And you know how you think I'm stupid when I dismiss it?
Just indulge me here. So your friends, tell me your friends. Okay, we have Dave, your buddy
My
Dave.
like class?
No, yes, your class.
Well, that's
right.
the thing is my class, I'm sort
Bill
of
Burr.
between.
Bill Burr in your
Burr's
class?
above me.
Above you.
Burr's above me.
How many years above you is he?
He started in the mid to late 90s. I didn't start till like I did a little bit in the early 2000s, but I didn't really start till 2007.
And where is Jerry Seinfeld? In the pantheon of comics, where is Jerry? Is he?
Like he's just ascended. He's like ascended to
he's
like
a saint.
Just, yeah. Like no one's thinking like I want to do those Seinfeld. Like he's just above.
Mm-hmm.
He's like his own.
But if he were
thing.
to walk into, is the Comedy Store still where you guys go? If Jerry walks into the Comedy Store, it's like, oh,
I think
Jesus,
he
guess
bumps.
who's here?
I think Burr, the guys who are like unbumpable, Burr, Sebastian made more than Burt. Sebastian Maniscalco. I'm going to send you this list. You're gonna love it.
I've seen a couple of his shows.
Funny.
Very impressive.
Like,
yeah.
Just
well,
really
that's
funny.
the thing. I look at this and I realize, oh my God, these people are so much smarter or aware, so much more aware, and have such a greater presence that to put together an hour is just,
you would have done it just by
not
competition.
No, I don't know.
I believe it. I believe that you would have done it if I were alive in the 70s.
Now, what about Leno? Where is he in this?
Jay is with Jerry.
Just here, so he's
just like
above and beyond.
Like, does corporates and just in this other all private jets and like just you never see. You're not going to bump into him at LAX,
right? But he. So in your group, who is Jay? Who is Jerry in your group?
Mulaney.
Because in my
I would
John
say Mulaney's in my group. Like
he's crazy
like in
good.
terms of like we did kind of shitty shows together, like not Bringer shows, but like Nick Kroll, John Mulaney, Aziz Ansari. But I'm older than those guys, so like I didn't do stand up till after Chappelle Show, so I don't feel the same like
Now, did
like
you always-
Birbiglia and Mike Birbiglia
yeah.
and John Mulaney went to college together, and Nick Kroll went to college. They all went to Georgetown.
Now, did you want to always do stand up, or was because you
It's
could
one of these things where being deferential can hurt you. In that I was like, it's a low impulse wanting to perform.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I like writing, I like giving people tags, I like working with Dave, and so we wrote a movie and then whatever. So I was always kind of like, no. And then once he left the show, I was like, I gotta be more independent and not count on another person
Right.
to like my entire existence. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then once I started it, I love comedy. So it's like I like doing the job. I like doing well. I like making these shows. And so, but in terms of my class, I'm a bit of a tweener because I was like, had been a successful TV show person before I started. And
Right.
so like Mulaney and those guys, and then they got super popular quickly, like Mulaney and Aziz and then Kroll and Birbiglia. Like they were sort of like, pew, pew, pew. And I was kind of like, I did really start from scratch.
In my group, the funniest was Jay. There were other people that would come in and put on a better show, but just funny to funny, it was always Jay.
I saw clips when he was on your late night show. He was always really funny, and you were very generous to give him an outlet. I have a question about that. What do you think of that looking back on it? The rivalry and the late night wars and all that stuff? And do you like, obviously maybe you think it's a shame, maybe like how do you categorize it in your mind?
Well, it's overall it's embarrassing because I don't want to be the guy who's pissed off because I didn't get so and so because I didn't truly feel that way.
You didn't feel that way?
No.
How did you feel?
It wasn't my choice. Nobody ever came to me and said, we would like you to host the Tonight Show. So, okay, they didn't want me to host the Tonight Show. So I can live with that. It wasn't as though I had made a mistake, as far as I knew.
Yeah.
So, and I thought maybe we would just take our show, move it to California, but that didn't happen. And
be the Tonight Show.
Yeah, and I think it probably worked out for the best. Jay did a great job, and I would.
Hey, you know who else did?
The
guy with the gray beard. My friend Graybeard.
We'll be right back. Yeah, no, it embarrassed. Just a little embarrassed.
Like you didn't like making it public or
it was because look. There are things one looks for in a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're there, you have a friendship. And you hope you supply in equal the same things. If they're not there, you're not friends, and that's fine too.
It can be very painful though.
In this case, it wasn't painful. But let's don't pretend we're friends.
Right. Got it.
Yeah.
Was there a part of you with the self-loathing part of you? Did a part of you go like, well, you don't deserve it?
No.
Good.
No.
Good.
Oh, where I don't deserve it?
Yeah.
No. The part of what turned on me was, oh my, I may never work again.
Huh.
So I tortured myself about that.
That's the thing that no one would believe is how much talented people think I'm never going to work again.
Well, in show business, it's true. You may have to go to the end of the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know now if it's harder or easier to become you. Was it easier for me to become me? Was it easier for you to become you? What about Bert Kreischer? He takes off his shirt and makes $25 million.
It's unbelievable.
So is that easier or harder than what you did?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, now the cool thing is there's so many paths.
Yeah.
There really are. There's just so many because comedians are like very valued right now, just in the last 10, 15 years. Because we do provide a valuable thing, which is like independent thought. There's no, I always explain to people like, so the government is kind of like very corrupt, media's corrupt, clergy's corrupt. Then who do you look for? Then you look to, like we look to Jon Stewart, or we look to you after 9/11, or we look to, that shouldn't really be the case. You know what I mean? I'm not saying we didn't look to. It used to be Cronkite, right? It was like it was these pillars, and then the culture shifted, and a lot of those institutions failed, so other people took their place.
Right, other people took their place, and while you say that really shouldn't be the case, on the other hand, maybe to have a broader foundation and a wider variety, maybe that's just natural. Maybe that's the way.
Maybe it's better.
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe it makes an invaluable source of information easier to access.
I'd rather. Look, I'd ultimately like if I can hear it from Dave Chappelle or Ari Melber. Like I'd rather hear it. Like we're more entertaining.
Shout out to Ari Melber.
I did the show 2 weeks ago.
Ari.
God bless. Where he wears shorts.
Does he really?
Yeah.
And he knows more about hip hop.
Oh man, does he know
than any 10 people?
Ask him.
Yeah.
In fact, don't even ask me.
Don't even ask him.
I do wonder about that, where you look back on that and you just go like, should you have been more private about it? Was it your own hurt feelings, pettiness?
Well, I'll tell you what it was. The fulcrum of the whole thing was I called, and I've mentioned this before. I called Jay to congratulate him on getting the job. And then Jay said, well, what will you do now? And I said, I may do this. I may do that. I may do this. I may do that. And I felt on both sides heartfelt. And this is going to sound so stupid. The next week, this is a story in the National Enquirer. And it has a hyperbolic, exaggerated version of what I said. Outraged, steaming with anger, blood spitting like that, and I just felt like that was not necessary.
Yeah. Were you, when you got all the sort of other networks vying for you? Were you like excited for yourself or flattered by the attention?
Sure, yeah, because like I said earlier, I went from a position of, holy gosh, I'll never work again, to suddenly, we got a Brandon Tartikoff's at Paramount, and they're talking about this, and Fox is coming in, and CBS is here, and like that. Yeah, so it was, but it's show business. Ultimately, show business. I'm now one of those guys. I'm officially on record as whining about my life, and I have really nothing to complain about.
Come to the right place.
Yeah, I guess I did. Nobody told me I'd be the first.
Well, you don't have to be. I'm not. I don't know how I'm going to roll them out.
Okay. Well, I'd like to be.
Give me pick a number.
Well, who would?
No, now you want to know.
Well, now wait a minute. Who else have you booked?
The competition between Corn Pone Values Dave and Showbiz Dave. Yeah. Because you're a showbiz animal.
Yeah. No,
you still want to win.
I think first is exactly where I want to be.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? And what do you make of, because you asked Ted how your show does. You want to know how your show does on Netflix?
I talked to Ted. Ted's been very kind to me. Ted and I have a very friendly relationship, unlike any other. You know Ted, isn't he?
I've been. He has a party and I go.
Oh,
you don't have to dismiss it like that, but
he's like no other person I've worked for or worked with in that capacity.
Yeah, he
is a big fan of comedy, and he's been very, very nice to me and very supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm, I guess, where I am now with Netflix and with Ted is maybe the best place in that dynamic that I've ever worked in.
So when you talk about you be bummed from doing a bad show.
Oh my God,
right?
Horrible. Yeah.
And then you cheer up. Do you ever think to yourself, this is short month. This is like a bad casino to be in. This self-esteem and good feelings based on how good the writing or whatever.
I feel that way about a lot of aspects when you get from this perspective. I look at things and I just realize, why did I invest any emotion in that or in that person or in this project at all?
But you also find it valuable because it is personal expression.
Yes, not the way I once did. Because I don't know if you must have done this when you were doing a regular show or when you're putting together your 1 hour shows for Netflix.
Now streaming.
Yeah.
Doing a plug on my own show.
What a weasel move.
Got to see it.
Yeah. it's like your head is in the sand. There's, you're the center of your own universe and nothing else counts.
Yeah.
Well, that's a mistake. That's a 180-degree mistake. And I was in that for 30 years, and not till I got out of it did I realize, oh yeah, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
And it was not only that, it was a device to make me feel better about myself.
When the show ended, how did you, while it's not refillable, what did you do as a new thing?
Well, it's funny. You go through this crush, and I have a friend of mine now who's going through it, where all of a sudden a wide variety of opportunities present themselves. And it's like, oh my God, I'll just go out and pick one of these. And it's the same meeting. So, Dave, what would you like to do? And I think, holy crap, I did it for 30 years. I was hoping you'd have an idea.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, the meetings get farther and farther between, and the offers don't seem as real. And so that helps you into that, you're just, sparring with oblivion. So, and then that's why I have great happiness with TED, because they were nice enough to help me with this.
But there's no obvious self-esteem mechanism. Obviously, seeing yourself on the front page of Netflix, great. Now, maybe you got in the top 10. Maybe you're trending. That stuff's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
So I wonder how you're getting the morphine. So
well, like this dopamine.
Dopamine. Sorry.
So
thank you.
like this, I'll feel depending on what I hear from that woman over there.
She doesn't lie.
God, I wish she would lie. We'd both be so much happier.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Valuable, but painful.
Yeah. No, so this is nice, because who doesn't want to talk endlessly about themselves?
I will say that you should do more podcasts, because you're very good on them.
Yeah, but
I think you're going to be happy with
there's not that many of them is the thing.
No, I know you can't find one.
No.
You would enjoy. I like your interest in the lower people that have not the younger comics. I find it admirable, and like it feels like your heart's in the right place. Like you're interested. You watch people.
Mm-hmm.
You like, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Not even I admire. It's just like you like comedy.
Mm-hmm.
You're in it. Like,
right.
Good. Keep being interested in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if I'm interested enough. I wonder if my range of interest is broad enough, is deep enough. I mean, I know a few things, and I know how it's going, and then I see names that I don't recognize at all. I've never heard of before, but by gosh, good for them. There they go. They've got the 1 hour streaming show.
Yeah.
And then there was I did this thing for the Netflix Comedy Festival. And we had
what was the name of it?
That's My Time.
Yeah.
And there was a kid on there from Boston, Sam Morrell.
Yeah, Sam's great.
And so he couldn't do something, and he couldn't do something. So what he did was he videoed his own thing, and then put it on YouTube, and 18 million people saw it. He got no money out of the 18 million people, except that booked him for the rest of his life. And I just thought, holy Jiminy, that's...
Yeah.
Did I say Jiminy?
I think you did.
Because of the last minute I was going to say
Does the
Jesus.
beard put thoughts in your head? Does the beard make you say shit like Jiminy every once in a while?
I wish
hijacks
something would put thoughts in my head. But I just thought, honest to Christ, he built this in his basement.
Yeah.
It's literally that.
Excellent. It really takes the
Now, could you have done that if Netflix said, no dice?
I think I could have done it. Could I have done it on YouTube? Maybe. I think the venue helps me. I mean, it legitimizes you, obviously.
Oh yeah. Once you hit Netflix, or now the competition is or the opportunity for comics is broader than it had been, right?
Yeah, for sure. But Netflix is still the gold standard. But my question for you is, so did you wean yourself off of that level of a crowd, 400 people? Or did you replace it?
I would do things like I went down to Texas, And
Because it's like being a former athlete in a weird way.
that's right. You don't want to be the casino greeter.
Yeah.
Or maybe you do. I don't know. But I would go down and I would be with Steve Martin and Marty Short on their show. And that was great fun. And I enjoyed the experience.
And you did that with smaller live shows and
Yeah.
and,
Just anything here and there. Like the other day, Chris Russo.
the Mad Dog.
So he's inducted into the Radio Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I would call in and congratulate him. So I did. And that was fine. I thought, oh, there you go.
Yeah, you get
something.
you get a little
Yeah,
juice.
that's all you want, really. Because I don't know if you're at that stage now, but I can't imagine going on the road honing an hour special.
Well, that's the funny thing is, so I released this. Blocks, now streaming. What a fucking weasel move. I release Blocks and then they go, there's a limo outside waiting for you. And you go, am I going to the Emmys? And they go, you're going to the airport. You just have to go on the road. And you're like, it's again, grateful.
Yeah.
But it's wearying for sure.
Yeah.
It's hard on your body.
Right. That's right. So I had enough of whatever the routine is. I had enough of my routine. So small things here and there are useful. And
do you find yourself overall healthier? Like mentally and
No, I wouldn't say so. But it works. It works, but there are too many other things to deal with other than your own peace of mind or things that assault your peace of mind. I mean, the idea of retirement being your golden years is just horse shit. I don't know. Let's talk about, I'm so tired of talking about me, although I really enjoy talking about myself, but I'm sick of it.
I just want you to be doing good.
Thank you.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I want, and people, by the way, people feel that way about me. They like, hey, I hope they watch the show and they think like I'm in bad shape. I know that what you're going through is manageable because I'm managing it myself. We're both very lucky. We just have we have an inner monologue. We got a tape that's a little faulty.
I just finished reading the Michelle Obama book and I thought, well, let me see what she's up to in her second book here. And page after page after page, it's exactly what you and I are talking about. She struggles with the same thing. And I thought, wow, okay, it has to be universal.
Yeah, like that's
if
everybody.
She and I are representative of this issue, it has to be everywhere.
Yeah. And do you have a plan do you work on it?
Well, she really works on it, and what I work on, and again, going back to the Chris Russo thing, who knows if anybody heard that? Who knows if it was even on the air? But just the act of trying to make him laugh, that was good for a week, you know.
And you know when the bat cracks.
Yeah. Well, I
it
heard it crack here a couple hours ago.
Here's what I want to say to you.
Yeah.
You're not going to like it. I think you're incredibly valuable. I think you're incredibly unique. I think that I wish if I could take your doubt from you, I would. You're also, you are and were always such a cool fixture in American life. And I just think you're just excellent beyond it's not going to help you minute to minute. I'm just letting you know you respect me. I respect you.
Thank you
a lot.
Thank you. I would honestly, I would feel better about myself if I could have done what you have done with the current Netflix effort.
You want to hear a small world story?
Yeah.
I wish I could have had a TV show for 30 years.
Oh, that's sweet. We'll be right back. Did you bring a clip?